Fala, gente. Tudo bem com vocês? Para quem não me conhece, eu sou o Léo, sou o diretor e fundador aqui da GradeUp, uma empresa brasileira que há 10 anos orienta e prepara alunos e profissionais de todo o Brasil para programas acadêmicos e de pesquisa fora do Brasil, em todos os níveis, desde o ensino médio, graduação integral, programas de mestrado, mestrado profissional, programa de mestrado jurídico e MBA. São 10 anos orientando para todas as áreas do conhecimento e em diversos destinos. Hoje, a gente tem aqui a participação de duas grandes universidades britânicas para compartilhar e trazer o máximo de informações sobre o processo de mestrado, e isso inclui os programas de LLM e também de MBA, nesse destino fantástico, prestigiado e que, claro, sempre traz muito interesse aos brasileiros. Portanto, a gente vai levar essa participação, essa entrevista em inglês e, ao mesmo tempo, se você tem algum tipo de pergunta, não hesite, pode deixar aí o seu comentário ou a sua pergunta, que a nossa equipe aqui vai me passando e, obviamente, eu vou compartilhando essas dúvidas de vocês com essas duas convidadas. Então, primeiro de tudo, queria agradecer vocês e, obviamente, compartilhem o link, tragam mais pessoas para participar e, claro, ajudar vocês a entenderem como é muito interessante e quais são as vantagens de realizar um programa de mestrado nesse país fantástico. Eu vou trocar agora para o inglês e, obviamente, vou apresentar essas duas convidadas que trabalham e que sempre estão muito próximas aqui dos nossos alunos. Primeiro de tudo, first of all, I'd like to introduce Jane Black from the University of Westminster, university well located in London with different campus in different parts of the city. A university that has always been a good partner of GradeUp, providing support and also a few scholarships for either undergrad and master students. And the other person that I'm pleased to introduce you as well is Jennifer from the University of York, a very prestigious part of Russell Group University in a fantastic town, well established, a lot of research, different areas, nice campus. So it will be a very nice 50 minutes, 60 minutes to bring you all a lot of information. So first of all, Jane Black from the University of Westminster, thank you very much. And I will leave you with the first question. Sure. Why Brazilian students should take a master's outside of Brazil, Jane? Thank you very much.
So firstly, not just outside of Brazil, but in the UK. Obviously, the idea of just going outside of your country, you're getting that additional exposure, you're networking, you're developing soft skills alongside your studies, so learning about intercultural communication. But if you're thinking about the UK, then you're coming to, a global destination, partly because of our location in the world. So whatever industry or area you're interested in, you'll find a base and you'll find opportunities here. And you'll be getting a guaranteed quality education because UK institutions, wherever you choose to go, both York and Westminster, but many other options as well, we are all quality assessed, so by the QAA. So there's assurance for you as a student that you're going to get a good quality of education coming to the UK, and that it is very well regulated and lots of options to see. And then thinking about the subjects and the subject offering, and Jenny probably wants to talk a little bit more about this. You are going to be coming on programs that are very much designed in conjunction with industry. We look at the syllabus, the development of our courses, updating programs and making sure they're very relevant and current, and you'll be learning useful skills for your career for the future. So I think those are a few of the key points, and maybe I'll hand over to Jenny to add a little bit more if you'd like.
Yeah, thanks, Jane. Yeah, I think what you said about the links with industry is really important, and it's something we've seen with the Brazilian students that come here. Often they have, incredible profiles, great grades. Our departments love receiving Brazilian students. They tend to have really strong theoretical training from their bachelor's degree. But in terms of the applied knowledge and the skills that you would use in the profession, in your job, they found that the training from Brazil, it doesn't focus so much on that area. And that's what they really like when they get to the UK, is that chance to do the hands-on training that they can't get in Brazil.
Very
Back to you, Leo.
Very good. Jennifer, just, taking the opportunity, as you both mentioned, quality and quality assurance. I'm well aware that in the UK, there is very well-organized bodies to keep the quality. So taking from that, what are the main aspects, as you guys in the UK have over 100 universities, how Brazilians can access and review, research, and make decisions on what sort of aspects? Because there are so many opportunities. So what sort of tips, Jennifer, would you give to Brazilian students choose the best option, the best institution for them?
Okay, so I think one common mistake people make is when they look at rankings to only look at the ranking of the whole university. And instead, what I would always recommend is you look at the ranking for the specific department that you are interested in. So if you want to look at law, what did that law school do? How are they ranked? How are they different from other law schools? So our law school has a very particular approach. We focus on problem-based learning, which again is going back to that applied way of learning, not just the theoretical approach. And we are top 10 in the UK in terms of the research that our law school produces. So a lot of these rankings and surveys that are conducted in the UK, such as the REF, which is the Research Excellence Framework, looking at the quality of the research environment, looking at the quality of the research itself, and also the impact that the research has in the real world. So we've got departments, that are ranked first, second in the UK in terms of the real world impact of the studies that they are doing, the work that they're producing. So again, they're not just publishing things in a scientific journal and that's the end of it. They're actually producing things that are changing policy, changing treatment of diseases, that kind of thing. So REF concentrates on research results, but you've got things like the student surveys as well. So we ask our students annually, what do you like about your course? How do you rate the teaching? How do you rate the assessment? How do you rate the support that you receive? All those kinds of questions. And universities have to publish that information publicly. So you will find this online. You will find this on our web pages and see exactly how we rate. But yeah, my top tip is look at the specific department rather than the whole institution.
Fantastic. Jane, in terms of that, is there any other aspect? Obviously, Jennifer mentioned about the rankings, be specific about your department, look at research level. What else Brazilian students should take care when they are making decisions?
So I think obviously you've got the kind of the overall guarantee for the quality of the institution anyhow, and you also want to think about what the right fit for you is and what kind of environment is right for your studies. And this is possibly jumping ahead, but something you're going to ask us. But we were talking just before about the fact that obviously in Brazil, when you're looking at a master's, you've got your two options, and it doesn't translate in the UK. So a master's, a postgraduate program in the UK can be quite applied and quite practical, but you're still getting the academic rigor and the theory, and it's still of the same level of academic study if you choose to do a postgraduate program. So you're looking at a 1-year master's in the UK, but that is the same as doing a master's in Brazil. And there's not this distinction between an academic theoretical master's and an applied professional program. So if you have to think what's right for you. Are you really interested in research and academia, and you want to look at the theories, and do you want a very practical course? And many of our courses are a mix of both, but you're then looking for the right learning environment. What sort of environment do you want to be in? What kind of assessment suits you? Do you want traditional exams to be doing a long dissertation, or would you like a work-based project, which is something we do more and more of across all programs and courses? So I think those are the key things. And then I think the next area is the subject. I think that's where people possibly go wrong. Subjects don't necessarily translate in terms of name. Maybe we call an area a slightly different program, or maybe there are subjects that you don't know about, that you don't maybe don't exist in institutions locally to you. And I think that's often a reason why people come to the UK, because they want to do a specialist focused subject area that they maybe can't do near home. So that's maybe look a bit more broadly when you're first doing your research, and consider areas around your subject that could actually be the right fit and the right title of degree in English.
You share that very good point, because most of masters, sometimes they signpost to a certain subject based on the title. And normally students, professionals, they don't get into detail looking at the syllabus. And sometimes the syllabus is also so important that, you should be looking at the title and syllabus in conjunction, because sometimes, you might be losing great opportunities at some universities. So please look at the syllabus as well. And it's quite important to outline there. Most masters in the UK, you have a core syllabus, core modules that you should take over the course, but also you can choose and pick the modules that you wish. And that's something quite important and very interesting in the UK. I think the other point as well, Jennifer, is the length. In the UK, most of masters provide, and it's quite intensive, but it's 1 year when we compare to Canadian or American universities, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So 12 months is the typical duration. You will always find exceptions. So we've got a couple of degree programs that are 20 months or 24 months, but I would say 98% of UK masters are going to be 12 months duration. And a typical structure would be the first 2 terms where you have taught classes, and then the final term where you do your independent research project, where you have a supervisor from the department. And again, that could be a theoretical research piece. It could be a work placement based piece of work, depending on your program. But yeah, it's definitely an advantage to progress your career more quickly, obviously in terms of living expenses as well, that you're only paying for 12 months of living costs in the UK, because we all have heard that the UK is not the cheapest country to live in, but it's 12 months, it's not 2 years. So yeah, big plus.
That's a good point, because normally we need to demystify that UK is so expensive. What we need to always do with our students is to compare the total cost. So if the course has 1 year, obviously that implicates that already will provide, one budget. So courses for 2 years, obviously living costs will be higher. So you need to be prepared for that. And I think that's a point that, really outline that you must be looking at all times. Jane, the other question, most of our students, obviously, they wish to get into the market. They want to get a job. But some of our students, they wish to progress to a PhD. So most masters in the UK also lead to a PhD opportunities.
Yes, I mean, obviously it will depend on your area and if you want to stay within the same institution to do your master's, to your research. But yeah, it's always worth looking. If you think that that might be of interest to you, then do have a look at the research centres and the areas that are available. It's normally in a slightly different section of university websites, but you can find overviews about the centres, about the successful bids that and areas that universities are particularly working on and focusing on, get a picture and a bit more of an idea. And a lot of them will also have supervisor backgrounds and a little bit more detail for you, so if you're thinking that that's the route you want to go down. So most masters, initially you'll come on a taught masters. There do also exist, I'm not sure how many of them you may have, Jenny, but we have a couple of masters in research, which you come straight into a more research-based program with less direct teaching and more self-directed study. So that's another option, but most of them will either be taught masters and then options to go on to research afterwards. But maybe you want to add some more to that. You probably do more of those, Jenny.
Yeah, we have quite a few masters by research, and again they're 12 months duration, but there you don't have the classes in the first 2 terms. You just have research piece of work, so a mini doctoral degree, but 1 year, not 3 or 4 years. So a smaller project. But if you're really interested in research, if you have a particular theme that you would like to research, if you're thinking to work maybe in a research institute in the future, or you want that taster to see if the PhD might be right for you, you could do the Masters by Research first. But either a Masters by Research or a taught Masters, both are suitable preparation to continue to a PhD. And you normally start your Masters in September till September at our university. Some universities may have January or February start dates for Masters. We don't, but some do. And then typically a student would start their PhD in the January time. So they would have a few months to recover from their master's studies before starting their PhD.
Fantastic. Jennifer, still on that and the progression from master's to PhD, is there any tips, is particular for those students that do not have yet a research proposal for a master's by research, but wish to soon be in a PhD course? What do you suggest? What sort of tips or is best for them to take a taught masters and then develop sort of a research proposal to progress?
Yeah, if you feel that you need the taught element, that you need some more kind of foundations to build on before you do a research degree, then go for a taught master's degree. I would say the taught masters are much more common, but the research degrees, they're available in many, not all departments, but many departments for those who have that particular passion for research. And as you should have some idea what you want to research. So the university won't tell you what your research project is going to be. In some science subjects, they may publish a list of some project ideas on their web pages. But if you're applying for social sciences, arts, humanities, they almost always would expect you to come with your own research project idea planned out. So, what's your methodology going to be? What kind of work has already been done in the area? What new knowledge are you seeking to give? And the important thing for any research degree is always check that the university you want to go to actually has people working in that area, because your profile might be brilliant. You might have graduated top of your cohort, and have a really outstanding profile. But if you want to research a topic where we don't have the expertise, then we won't offer you a place here. So do spend time, like Jane was saying, exploring our web pages, looking at the research that we're doing, looking at the profiles of our professors to see what kind of publications they have worked on, what projects they're involved with, and that will hopefully give you some ideas about the kinds of projects that are possible with us at York.
Fantastic, Jane. And it's always good to share, but we have a very good case, and it was with me as well. During my time in the UK, I had a few colleagues that after a master's, and obviously with great work and good relationship and the right profile, they have been invited to progress to a PhD. And I always remember one of our students that also had that opportunity, and today she's lecturing at the university.
That's right, in law, yes.
In law and taking a PhD. So what I would say to everyone, there are a lot of opportunities, but obviously you need to give the first step. You need to be in there looking at the environment, options, opportunities, because there are quite a lot of options, correct, Jane?
Yes, and if you don't know and you haven't maybe studied outside of Brazil before, and you're not 100 clear on your research area, as Jenny says, you would be better to probably start with a taught master's. It's only the 1 year, as we've mentioned, so start with that. It gives you that opportunity to focus and hone in on the area that you wish to pursue. And look at more options. So yeah, Alessandra came and did a master's with us first of all, a taught master's, and then
yes, fantastic. By the way, as we are talking about progression to a PhD, I think the other thing that we cannot forget, and obviously some countries are well aware, is this new and fantastic opportunity for all international students, the post-study visa, which allows 2 years in the UK to get some experience, get some job, maybe return to Brazil with a lot of experience, maybe a job offer in the UK or Europe. But Jennifer, how and what Brazilian students, international students should take from that opportunity, and what's the aim for universities and the government to have provided such an opportunity for international students?
I think we see that there are so many talented people from around the world. I mean, the UK is a very international environment anyway. So I think any UK university you go to, you're going to meet people not just from England. You're going to meet people from Malaysia and from Switzerland and from Bolivia and from, and the list goes on. We have 27% of our students are from outside the UK and 20% of our academics. So I say we recognise that we have all of this incredible global talent, and educated people who've just done a degree with us. And I think we want to tap into that. We want value that contribution that they can make to our country and to our economy, and to bringing solutions to global challenges as well, because that requires input from around the world. So as you were saying, students can stay for 2 years after completion of either a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, and 3 years after completion of a PhD. And there are no specific stipulations as to a minimum salary that you need to earn. There are no specific stipulations about what kind of job you need to take. You may find as you progress through your master's, you consider a complete change in career direction. You get interested in something else, and that's okay. So you don't need to evidence that you're earning a certain amount or that you're working in a certain sector. It's for anyone who wants to stay after completing their UK degree.
Fantastic. Jane?
I was just going to add that obviously it does allow you to then have that additional time in the UK, build on your studies and maybe the experience you might have got in short projects or part-time work, and get additional, really useful international experience in the workplace that you will bring back, and thinking about the companies, the industries that are based here, the areas that you want to work in, you'll get some hopefully great exposure. So it's definitely something to consider. We've all got a lot of information about it on our websites. I'm sure Grade Up as well will be happy to talk through queries about a little bit more detail about how you apply, how it works, so that you have a better understanding. So it launched during the pandemic, which is, I think, partly why maybe some people aren't as aware of it and know that we have this again, and you can consider the UK and get this additional opportunity. So do get in touch or have a look at the details for any more information.
Fantastic, Jane. And touching on opportunities after the program, but let's get back, and talk about living courses and job opportunities. Why you are taking your course? Because sometimes I see amazing interpretation, and I believe UK has a good advantage because it's allowed 20 hours per week, and
Yes.
students can work on campus and off campus. So my question is, Jane first, are there good opportunities why we are studying in London to make some part-time jobs?
Of course there are, because you're in London and there are many, many opportunities and you've got all the different sectors, but also within your programs, and it's the same, it will be the same for Jenny, she'll add to this. You've got opportunities during your masters to maybe get that practical experience. It's not a full internship because you've only got 1 year to complete your masters, and there's a lot of teaching required within that time. But there'll be projects, there may be case studies to use. If you're doing something like Alessandra, we're talking about law, we have a legal clinic where our students can actually get some exposure and get some work. And then if you're thinking about outside of your area and studies, lots of opportunities for casual work. As you say, normally on a student visa, you would normally be allowed, it will tell you on your visa, to work for up to 20 hours a week, and you can work in the holidays. So some students might say, you know what, I'll just work in the holidays, and you can do some full-time work there. You're going to, even if you're working in a coffee shop or doing something very different, you're going to be practicing your English, networking, getting used to sort of the culture of UK workplace. So yeah, there are lots of opportunities and lots of reasons to pursue that, as well as making some money and helping support yourself during the time.
That's great. Jennifer, it's still good opportunities outside London, because everyone obviously is aware about London, but how about York and and the region?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'd say there's less competition for jobs when you're in a smaller city, because the population here is so much smaller than in the capital. And York is a huge tourist destination. So yes, during the pandemic, when hotels were closed, that was much more challenging. But now that things are really opening up again in the UK, you will find, again, lots of service sector jobs. Whenever I go into town, I see adverts, in hotels, bars, restaurants, cafes, shops, these kind of service sector jobs. The minimum wage in the UK is, depends on your age, but is around £9.50. So that's about $12 per hour. So it is a really decent, as a minimum wage. You may earn more than that. And then on campus, there are opportunities to work as an international student ambassador, for example. If you're a PhD student, you could do some teaching, and we have a training program for that. Master's students unfortunately couldn't work as a teacher, but we do have jobs to work as a college life advisor and work with the younger students and help them, support them, put on social events for them. So yeah, there's plenty of job opportunities. And I think one thing to highlight that I think both of our universities will offer is a careers service. And the careers service is not just for when you graduate. The careers service can help you find those part-time job opportunities, summer internships. If you're doing a longer degree, an undergraduate degree or a PhD, and you're looking for, maybe volunteering opportunities to help become more part of the local community, they can help with that kind of thing as well. They can look at your CV, give you feedback, help you get that in a UK format, which will be different from the Brazilian format, help you practice your interview techniques. So if you're shortlisted for a job and you want some feedback on your interview style, they can help with that. And so obviously the longer term employment prospects, helping you prepare for life after graduation. And if you do want to benefit from that graduate route, help you explore job opportunities, not just in our city, but across the whole country. Remember, we're a small island, so nowhere is very far away. Jane sat in London. That in 2 hours I can be in London on a train. So nowhere's far.
Exactly. Jennifer, just to complement, on what you just said, it's not far. It's very accessible. If you study in York, you study in North England, very easy access to Scotland, London. So there are so many students that we've seen over the last 10 years studying one place, getting some summer opportunities, summer jobs, some internships outside their university campus, and there are loads of opportunities. Think about the employers. They give opportunities and they have a relationship with different universities around the UK. So if they are based in London, they don't want just students from London. They want good students. So obviously they have relationship with a number of universities. So think about that. It's not just London. Obviously London is a nice campus, Jane? And you are in the best position to say that. But
I
yes.
was just going to add that, as part of the careers service, there'll be things like careers fairs and networking events when industry come onto all of our campuses and give talks and meet students and fairs. So you've got the careers services Jenny outlined and lots of additional support services around that. So things like we have a really fantastic mentoring scheme. So if you would like to apply and to have a mentor while you're doing your masters to help guide you and think about the future. And a lot of our mentors have kindly reached out and had our students come and visit them in their workplace and stay with them. So there are lots of other things around the careers services that we offer, and those international those careers fairs and visits by the employers to our universities was a big one of those.
And on that, Jane, it's quite important to say that students should not look at opportunities or career fairs at the end of their course. They should start as soon as possible, because the career services over the year, they have so many workshops, so many opportunities during the year. So as soon as you get involved, you must keep, some regularity and attending those events throughout the year. So don't lose the opportunity. And Jane, I've got here Carolina Lancelotti, who has so many questions. Okay. So I will share with you one of the most important questions, especially for Latin students, especially for Brazilian students. And I think you are in a very good position to say, what are the scholarships available generally, how it works in the UK, but obviously specifically at Westminster?
So I think you want to look at the institution that you're applying for, because it is all different. So with Westminster, you apply for your course and get an offer, and then you can apply to our scholarship scheme. So we have our scholarships advertised on our website. They open for their call normally in sort of October if you want to start a course in January. So we have master's programs across business, social sciences, law, and probably a couple of other areas I've forgotten that have a January start, as well as starting in September. So there's a January call for scholarships that opens normally in October, and a September one that will normally open in sort of January, February. So once you've applied and got your offer, then you can apply for a scholarship with us. It's a separate application. Westminster currently has only partial international scholarships. So these will give you some support, but will not pay for all of your studies. So you do need to look at our Affordable London pages, look at cost of attendance guidance, and think about budgeting. You are very, very welcome, and I think this is broadly the case, to apply for other funding at the same time. It is no problem at all to apply for external funding and apply for Westminster and combine those. So Jenny's nodding, so same for York. And then obviously you can look at the UK funding scheme. So there's Chevening, very, very competitive, but that is an option for some master's students. And yes, I don't know a huge amount of any other current funding available for taught masters, Leo, as in for Brazilian students outside of institutional funding.
Just before I hand it to Jennifer, as matter of information, most universities will have partial scholarships. So the best thing, obviously, is to apply earlier. Get your conditional, unconditional offer soon. Obviously, look at the departments, look at the options for your nationality as well. But you need to budget, you need to plan in advance, because most scholarships are partial. So you have a sort of a discount in terms of tuition fees. But the good thing is you can also work part-time. So it's not impossible if you plan ahead to have your masters, to make your masters in the UK. Jennifer, any particular scholarship for Brazilians, York?
So we have around 100 international scholarships. So they're not specifically for Brazilians, they're for any international students. We have around 90 Be Exceptional scholarships, which are open to anyone who receives an offer for a course at York, and that's pretty much every degree program except for our medical school. And then we have 10 higher value Vice Chancellor's scholarships, and those for a master's student, those are worth £10,000 discount in your tuition fees. So that's about $12,500 US discount. And if you were doing a humanities degree, a social sciences degree, that's probably about 50% of your tuition fee would be covered if you get that higher level award. So, there are some significant scholarships, but as Jane was saying, the only full scholarships that I'm aware of are the UK government's Chevening scholarships. They are going to open usually around August, and they usually close end of October or early November each year for people starting the following year. So you have to apply super early if you're interested in those Chevening scholarships. You need at least 2 years professional experience. You need to have great leadership skills, networking skills. You have to be someone who's going to change the world, or at least Brazil. So they're looking for, really exceptional individuals for Chevening. It is very competitive, but if you are selected, and we've had Brazilians recently, especially in our Centre for Applied Human Rights, actually, that's a really popular program, funded by Chevening. Everything is paid, your flights, your insurance, everything. So yeah, it's tough to be selected, but if you are, this is an incredible funding opportunity.
Absolutely, that's an incredible, but obviously you need to be prepared. There will be different phase with interview, and yes, Chipney is a great opportunity for Brazilian students. But please go to their website, see the deadlines. You're right, Jennifer. It starts in August. The application deadline is early November. And yes, do your research, make the best options for yourself. You don't need to choose only the universities based in London. There are so many opportunities, and there are spaces available to profile students, specifically around leadership skills. Anyway, if you are enjoying these live, please share the link, share with your colleagues. That's a very good content if you are planning to make some masters in the UK. Carolina Lancelot, I will take your question and answer. If you have your place for a January intake, and for some reason you cannot attend, yes, most universities will accept that you postpone your place for the September intake. But please be aware that some courses are very, very busy, very competitive, and it's not the policy for every university, okay? So if you do have any other questions, please get in touch here with us. But thank you very much. It's very good to see your participation. I'm pretty sure that you'll be in the UK very soon, okay? The other question, as we move around the finances, obviously one of the main things is the application process itself. Is there any particular tip or any particular part of the process, Jane, that students really should take more attention?
I mean, generally it's the personal statement for our applicants. So with your application, you'll get support from Grade Up, hopefully, and you'll do it online. You'll upload your transcripts from university, a reference, or possibly two, depending on the program and the institution. And then there's a statement where you write about why you wish to do the program. And really for the UK, 75% of that statement is really about your skills and your future career plans and it's related to your subject area. So I think focusing on that, it doesn't have to be a long statement. I think that's the other thing. People then make the mistake and write everything. You don't need to do that, but it's about why you want to do this course, what your experience and skills are. I don't mean that you have to have work experience by that, but drawing on your studies so far or anything that you have related to the program and what you're going to do as a career. I would say that's probably the area, because that's the one section of the statement that will, it's not just about your grades, it will show you and your motivation and your interest. And if potentially you're slightly changing your subject area, which is fine to do in the UK, and it's important to note that we are very happy to consider across many programs. So most of the business, management, social sciences will happily consider students who have graduated from different areas as a first degree. If there are restrictions around a subject background, it will always tell you on the course pages. That's usually in things like maybe where it's finance or you need some stats and economics, or in the sciences where you need to have that science background. But otherwise, it is maybe a broader option than people are used to when they're choosing their master's area. But it's your opportunity to say why you're changing it to that area, if that's something you're doing, or if you've got a slightly lower grade in one area of your degree, but it's not something you're pursuing in your master's, it's an opportunity to point that out. So I think probably the statement would be the key area for us.
Fantastic. Jennifer, is there any other tip quite important as well on that piece of paper?
I would say English language preparation is really important. So we don't need to have your English language certificate when you submit your master's application. You can upload that later. So if you need a bit more time to refresh your English, to maybe take some classes, do some online tutorials or something before you take the TOEFL test or the IELTS test, that's okay. send us the rest of your master's application form. Let us assess that. And then if we give you an offer, the offer will just say, we accept you on the condition that you send us your IELTS results or your TOEFL results when you have those ready. Now, I think that English is one of the biggest challenges often for our Brazilian applicants. And we get a lot of students that get accepted, but then it takes them some effort to meet that English language condition. So don't leave that until the last minute. Start looking. There are free online English courses that you can access. Our university have some free, we call them international conversation afternoons, and we have some free tuition from students in Hong Kong who are training to be English teachers. So there's lots of free stuff that you can access. You don't necessarily have to pay for expensive courses, but start thinking about making time to prepare your English before you before you need to enroll at the university, basically.
Absolutely.
And don't get too overwhelmed by the British English accent either, because I know that a lot of students are more familiar with an American English accent. So again, it's just a question of listening more, listening to the BBC, watching some British shows, and becoming more familiar with the way that we speak in the UK compared to the USA.
That's true, Jenny. Just to complement on that as well, I think both institutions, both universities, you guys are well placed because both offer the pre-sessional English course. So for those that didn't meet the requirement, it's still an opportunity to take the pre-sessional, either face-to-face or online, which is fantastic. But also the opportunity, as Jenny said, to prepare well in advance, send all documents, get a conditional offer, and then also at some point get your English exam score sent to the university. So you do not need to have your English to apply. And that's one of the biggest mistakes I see every day. Jane Black, what sort of opportunities Westminster and Grade Up have for Brazilian students around the pre-session? I would like to point out, I believe we still have one place.
We do.
Correct?
We're very short on time, that's the only thing, but we have a scholarship, a pre-sessional scholarship for a student with a conditional offer for a master's who would like to, or needs the English support to join us for the master's in September. But if you're just starting out and you're thinking about that for next year, then get in touch with Grade Up and hopefully there will be more options. We have international agent scholarships with Grade Up for our students. But yeah, there's one at the moment still open for somebody to do a pre-sessional who needs it to join in September. It's true.
Fantastic. Jennifer, just to end up around the application, the tips around personal statement, and the other part, which is reference letters. Is there any tip around that? Who has, the opportunity to write for the applicant? What sort of mistakes you as a university see on most applications?
So actually at York, we've removed the reference requirements for the past 2 years because of the pandemic situation. I'm not sure what will happen for next year when we open in September for people joining us in September 2023. But for September 2022, certainly, master's applicants don't need a reference letter at all. If we return to our previous policy prior to the pandemic, that was to have one academic reference letter for a master's application and 2 for a PhD application. So these are academic references from someone who knows you in an academic capacity. So not your boss at work, but somebody from your university studies. or your school studies if you were applying for an undergraduate degree. So they're commenting on, your academic ability. Are you a suitable candidate to study a master's degree program?
Fantastic. And just as a tip as well, normally universities are requiring at least 2 reference letters. It could be either one from the academic part of your history and from an employer, or 2 from employers if you have over 5 years at least of experience. So you must check your requirements from your particular course, because some universities, some courses might require 3 reference letters, but generally speaking, normally 2 letters. Correct, Jane?
Yeah, so we do take employer references, but which are mainly aimed at students who've maybe been working for a few years, been out of academic study, and it's more relevant for them and for what they're pursuing. So, but I would say, as Jenny said already with the pre-sessional, don't let it be a barrier to submitting your application. So I would, as much as it's great if you can include everything when you apply, if this is something you're worried about, you don't know if you've got the right number or if you've got the right reference, speak to Grade Up, submit your application. We will always contact you to add that anything that's missing, if there was something or if you had a query. So yeah, we're saying different, we're giving you different guidance here. So don't let it put you off. Speak to Grade Up, submit your application to wherever you want to study, and then you can always follow up with the right reference if needed.
Fantastic. We have, it's been great, and but unfortunately we have just a few minutes left, and I'd like to say thank you very much for a few people here that is sending us messages. Solange Mendes, Marua, Carolina Lancelotti, João Carlos Costa, Jonathan Henrique, Janaína Barrosi, Solange Mendes. Well, so many people here, so thank you very much. And I'd like to take a question here from Jonathan, and that's for you, Jane, as you have a great architecture school and well placed. It's just in front of Madame Tussauds, a very nice environment. His question is around a master's. So what would you suggest, or most of your academics suggest, in terms of masters in architecture? Because obviously there are so many courses, very specific in some areas, but also the master much in architecture that normally takes 2 years. What sort of tips, what sort of advice you'd give, is particular for international students around that decision?
So Jonathan, it's a difficult question, and it really depends what you're going to do in the future. So we have an MA in architecture, and lots of universities will, and that is recognised. It's a taught master's programme. It's not a RIBA course, but if you don't need the RIBA accreditation, then you can do that in the 1 year. It's lots of Brazilian students have done that with us. They return home to Brazil, their qualification is recognised. If you have a particular reason why you want to follow the RIBA route, then you may wish to apply for the MArch, the RIBA programme Part 2. And you can do, it's open to international applicants, but you would have to apply for the recognition through the Architects Registration Board to make sure that your first degree is recognised as the equivalent of RIBA Part 1. There are quite a lot of changes happening with it at the moment, so I'd be really happy to follow up and have a chat with you separately. But for people that are broadly interested in architecture, you really only need to follow that RIBA route if you want to definitely stay long term in the UK. So we're not talking about the next couple of years, we're talking for your career. And there's a reason, because you do RIBA Part 2 and then RIBA Part 3 as well to complete. But internationally, the programmes, the MA Architecture is very well recognised, and Architecture Taught Masters, the 1 year programmes, are equally. They have the same teaching staff often, cover similar areas, but they just don't need to meet those RIBA requirements. So we could have a bit more of a chat. And for students generally, I say for any of creative subjects, really have a look at the course pages, have a look at student work for the university and the programme you're looking at, because the courses can really vary, especially in those sort of fields. So see the kind of work that's being produced, and then you'll see if it's the right type of programme for you.
Exactly. So you must have, some confidence that you are taking the right course, the right syllabus. And as you said, Jane, think about the long term. If you really wish to work in the UK, yes, I think, the Master's Architect might be a good option. However, you must get recognition from RIBA about your bachelor's, which might take some time as well. So you need a bit of planning on that. Jennifer, thank you very much. It was a pleasure. York has been, a great university for us, as we have great students, but also great satisfaction from our students, either at undergrad and master's level. So I just wish that, we can keep with that sort of lives and emails and opportunities for Brazilian students. But again, thank you very much. Your message to all Brazilians wishing to study in the UK.
Go for it. It's a fabulous opportunity. It's not something you're going to regret. Do your research, find the right choice for you, and say, go for it. Don't delay. Start the process. Say, you've got us to help you, me, Jane, and you've got Leo there and his team in Brazil. So there's lots of support. It's not as daunting as you might think, and take that first step on this incredible journey.
Fantastic. Jane, it's still possible to apply and get place and travel to London for next intake, September start? Still possible?
It is across quite a few of our programs. So social sciences, law, creative industries still open, architecture. We have closed most of our management and business programs for September, but we have a January start that's taking applications now. So you can apply for January. It's only a few months later. If there's a course that's closed, it will tell you on the website and we'd offer the next intake. But yes, you still got time. I would encourage you to apply soon because there are some visa delays this year, things happening. So if you could apply quite soon, that would be great. You're still in good time. I know for York, you're still open and accepting for September as well, aren't you, Jenny?
Yeah, we're similar. So our management school has closed already, and our politics, international relations, public administration, they're all full already now. But if you're interested in other areas, so things like economics, law, education, literature, history, sciences, biotechnology, computer science, they're all still open at this point in time. So yeah, it will depend what you want to study. Our intake again is only in September, so we don't offer a January intake for masters, and we will start to receive applications for next September from the end of September this year. So you can kind of apply 12 months before you actually join us. But yeah, if you want to go for it this year, there is still time, but move quickly.
Fantastic, fantastic. Ladies, thank you very much. It was a pleasure. A lot of insights, a lot of information. I know it's around 5 o'clock. It's tea time in the UK, so I'll leave you. But thank you very much. It's been great. And also, I'd like to thank my team, Sol, Marua, Patricia, Fernanda, Deborah, everyone that has helped us here, and in particular, Janaína, who is behind the scenes here, providing all support to us. Thank you very much. Gente, obrigado pela oportunidade. A gente estará também aí divulgando esse vídeo, deixando aqui no nosso canal do YouTube. Se você gostou, se você realmente está empenhado, tem interesse de estudar no Reino Unido, por favor, compartilhe, faça contato. São 10 anos ajudando aí diferentes brasileiros nos mais diferentes estados com esse processo de ingresso junto às melhores universidades britânicas, os diferentes cursos em todos os níveis. Por favor, não hesitem em contactar. Meu agradecimento. Obrigado pela participação. Fiquem bem. Um abraço. Tchau. See you.
Ciao.